because the unions get all of theirs, states that seem to vote Democratic get theirs, some other states don't. Here's the interesting thing. The Congress is now suing. Congress shouldn't have to sue to see federal records. They're the representatives of the people. They are suing to see the most interesting list. What waivers have you rejected? That's the list we want to see. And are there companies on there that contribute to other candidates that you don't like, that you might have rejected a waiver? Are there states that might be run by governors that you don't like, or might be running for president that you have rejected? We don't know. So I think that's the more interesting list we have to look for. Good question.
One last question.
Well, this really isn't a question, it's just a point of order, if you will. Yesterday in Midland, Texas, they had a federal hearing on the lizard.
The Permian Basin lizard, right?
Permian Basin lizard. And they could threaten a large part of our supply of oil if they shut it down.
We'll take one more question after that because it's an observation. Let me just tell you something about how even environmentalists can get upset by this. Arnold Schwarzenegger is about as green as a lizard. And even he got fed up with the lizard. Arnold Schwarzenegger loves solar power. Yes, the sun will give us the power. So when he was governor, he proposed, we have the Mojave Desert here. We have the solar reflectors. We put the solar reflectors in the Mojave Desert. We get the sunlight. We get the power. No. It was the the desert tortoise. Now, the desert tortoise was not endangered by the solar reflectors. It was not going to go out of business. But its migratory patterns would have to shift. So it had to go around the solar reflectors. Apparently, this was too much to expect of the desert tortoise. Although, as far as I can see, the wind did it all the time. So they stopped the solar reflecting panels. And Schwarzenegger finally blew up. He said, "Excuse me, as an environmentalist, I can't understand this. If you can't put solar panels in the desert, where are you supposed to put them?" One last question.
Mr. Fund, in '82 and '83, Reagan's numbers were way down, and then the economy started coming back, and he really swamps Mondale. Do you see the economy improving to such a degree next year to where it doesn't matter who the Republicans will nominate, that Obama will win because the economy will improve between now and the election?
Well, more interesting is what you believe. What do you believe, sir?
I don't think it's going to improve that much. And I think we'll have a better candidate than Mondale.
Okay, it's time for my mini lecture. Do we have 4 minutes? Okay, let me give you my mini lecture. First of all, pay very little attention to this campaign chatter about an event that's 18 months away. It's a long time in politics. And besides, whenever you're listening to information from the mainstream media, just remember, they do not have your best interests at heart. They are not necessarily there to convey accurate information. They are there to confuse and divide you. So, look, process the information from the mainstream media, but don't necessarily factor it into your decision-making process. It's sort of like monitoring enemy broadcasts. You need to know what the enemy is thinking. That doesn't mean what you believe what the enemy broadcasts are saying. About the 2012 presidential election, this is my mini lecture on why you should not be worried about the Republican presidential field as much as many of you are. Democrats and Republicans nominate people for president in completely different ways. They have a completely different model. The Democrats go on the blind date theory of nominating presidential candidates. Their theory is, we'll go out and have a bunch of blind dates, and we'll find the special one, and we'll fall in love with them, and everything will be wonderful. If you don't believe me, let's just look at their blind dates the last 2 decades. George McGovern won 1 out of 50 states. Jimmy Carter, okay, he did win. How well did that turn out? Jimmy Carter's now still just a laugh line. Say President Jimmy Carter, people will just smile. And it won't be because they're imitating his grin. Gary Hart didn't quite get the nomination, but that was a real blind date. He almost got the nomination. Michael Dukakis, he had Helmet in the Tank, that was a blind date. Bill Clinton was a real blind date. Now, he did win, but he brought all his blind dates with him into the White House. But I'll never lie to you. John Kerry, the windsurfer. That was a blind date. Now, Barack Obama did win, but that was the ultimate blind date. This is a blind date that wouldn't tell you anything about himself. Can I see your records? No. Can I see your grades? No. Can I see your law school application? No. Can I see anything? No. Hope and change, hope and change. So they do the blind date theory, and usually it doesn't work out. But that's their theory. The Republicans have a completely different theory. They have the who's the next guy or gal in line theory. Now, this is bizarre. This is from a party that celebrates competition. In baseball or in business, they say competition is great. Competition is what made America great. Except when it comes to presidential nominating processes. They always say, well, who's the last guy? Who's waiting in line? You don't believe me? Let me give you an item. Ronald Reagan is retiring. Who ran against Reagan in 80 and became his vice president? George H.W. Bush. Let's make him the nominee. Okay, 96. Clinton is running for re-election. Who ran against Bush in 88? Bob Dole. Let's make him the nominee. 2000. Okay, we're really confused. So let's nominate the son of the last president we had. Same name, Bush. 2008. Who ran against Bush in 2000? McCain. You detect a pattern here? I detect a pattern here. In fact, this pattern is so bad, I'm going to give you a statistic that's frightening. I don't think there's anyone in this room, and remember, you have to be 21 years of age to vote for president in 1948. Is there anyone in this room who was eligible to vote for president in 1948? Okay. There we go. God bless it. You have great genes. But it's rare. I mean, this is a long time ago, 1948. Between 1948 and 2008, all the elections in between those two, as bookends, the Republican Party nominated for president or vice president in every one of those elections, with one exception, a Nixon, a Bush, or a Dole at the top of the ticket, or for the number 2 slot. The only exception being Goldwater Miller in 1964. A Nixon, a Bush, or a Dole in every one of those elections. That is too much time in the same end of the gene pool. So, the good news is, all of this chatter, people are upset with the Republican candidates. This is the first competitive election for the Republican presidential nomination you've had in your living memory, with a couple of exceptions. This is amazing. We've never seen this before. That's why people can't handle it. Like we have choices. Like we can pick. I mean, like, wow. I mean, okay. Now, the candidates are a little bizarre. There's 2 groups of candidates. The first group of candidates are very entertaining, but none of them can be nominated. And I can give you some of their names. Starting with someone who's not going to be running, named Donald Trump. Now, the reason Donald Trump is not going to be running is not because he's been humiliated in the birth certificate, because he's up the ante. His immediate reaction to the issuance of the birth certificate was, okay, what about his college records? This is a man who has no self-confidence problems. So, you've got candidates who are entertaining and can't get the nomination, and they will be overcovered by the media. Because they want to paint the Republican candidates as kooky, and also, of course, they're fun to recover. Then there are candidates who can win the nomination. And you know their names. There's Mitt Romney, there's Mitch Daniels, there's Tim Pawlenty, there's several others. I believe you're going to have a competitive process. Whoever comes out of this is going to be battle-tested, battle-hardened, will have answered all the questions, run through the media gauntlet, run through the machine guns of the media, and will be a strong candidate. Now, it's true that Obama will vilify them, but it's probably a good thing that we don't have a front runner now, because they'd be shot at for a lot longer. Probably best to have the process last until March or April of next year. Then they can shoot at him. I mean, if you had a front runner now, he